Hello. Let's go. All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining today's session. This is another episode where we get to deploy and build interchain tokens programmatically. So today we'll be focusing on creating canonical interchain tokens. Sorry. Okay. Let me just click on. All right. I think we're back. The screen. Screen is high. All right, guys. Thank you. Apologies for that. So today's session, we'll be creating a canonical interchain token programmatically. This is another episode where we already did the first one where we're able to create a new interchain token. But then this session will be focusing on creating a canonical interchain tokens programmatically. Don't worry, I'm going to explain everything, what you need to do. And we are also going to do it from scratch ourselves. We are going to, if you're joining live, try as much as possible to code along. If you have any question, feel free to drop it. I'll be happy to answer all of your questions, right? So moving on, my name is Idris Olubisi. I am a software engineer and a technical writer. I currently work as a developer advocate at Axelar, and also you can find me on all social media platforms at Olanesoft. And yes, let's get right into it. So the first part, which I quickly want to talk about, I mentioned earlier on that we created interchain token programmatically, a brand new interchain token programmatically, and also deployed it and transfer that token across different blockchains, which is the first part of this entire workshop. So in case you miss out or you, for some reason, you weren't aware about the entire communication of this particular live, you can feel free to check it out on our YouTube channel. You see a step by step. We can follow through just by going through this YouTube, and then let me know what you think at the end of the video. So now moving on, we have let me scroll this. So what are we going to be doing today? First, we'll create a new interchain token on Fantom, and then we'll register it as a canonical interchain token on Fantom, and we'll deploy it remotely on Polygon, and also transfer tokens from Fantom to Polygon. So I'm using Fantom and Polygon in this case because this is just an example. Feel free to use any of the supported blockchains. You can decide whatever you want to use on your own. But in this example, we'll be focusing on Fantom and also Polygon, like deploying on Fantom, creating a new ERC20 token on Fantom, and registering it as a canonical interchain token on Fantom, and then deploying it remotely on Polygon and transferring any amount from Fantom to Polygon. So now let's talk about interchain token service, right? So it's important to know what exactly is powering the whole interchain token, registering it as a canonical interchain token, or maybe you are creating a brand new interchain token, or even if you are linking tokens that is already deployed on multiple blockchain as an interchain token. What is powering all of these things? It is interchain token service. And then what is interchain token service? Interchain token service is a suite of tools and smart contract that is designed specifically to empower developers to issue and manage tokens that retain the same utility and fungibility across multiple blockchain ecosystem. So emphasis on utility, retaining their utility and also fungibility across different blockchain. So when you deploy when you create a brand new interchain token or you register your token as a canonical interchain token, as we will be doing in this workshop, or you link an existing token that is already deployed on different blockchain as an interchain token. If those tokens are custom tokens, for example, you can retain their utility and fungibility across different, blockchain. While you register them or like deploy remotely on different blockchain, you still have the opportunity, or like the chance, the powerful, the chance, or like the what you need to leverage this powerful technology, which is the interchain token service, to retain the utility of all your tokens across different blockchains. So what are some of the things that you get out of the box leveraging interchain token service? First, it's trustless, right? Interchain tokens runs on open source code via smart contract on a public blockchain that is secured by dynamic, validation set. So all of these things, when deploying this token, you get to see everything on chain, as we will be doing when we get to the demo part, where you will see how we're able to like deploy locally from our local environment to testnet, and also verify all of these things happening on chain. So second point here is no code, right? Out of the box, you get an opportunity to leverage the interchain token portal to fully automate the process of permissionless multi-chain deployment, right? Where you can manage, you can create your token, you can register your token as a canonical interchain token, you can deploy your token remotely to different blockchains, and also you can do token transfer directly on the portal. And in fact, if you enable minting functionality, you can also manage your token, where if you maybe after deploying a new token, you want to mint additional token at the end of the day, you can give access to a particular address that will allow you to mint additional token at the end of the day. So if you have initial supply of 1,000 and then you want to like mint more tokens, you can do all of these things directly on the portal. So check it out, interchain.axelar.dev. This is the mainnet. And then if you want to go to testnet, you see a link on this mainnet that takes you to testnet also if you want to, which is testnet.interchain.axelar.dev. Which brings me to the next point, where we talk about fungible, right? How fungible is the token you want to deploy? So you can easily scale up to 15 plus different blockchain with canonical versions of your token that share a single EVM address across all chains. That's the cool part, right? If you create a brand new interchain token, you get to have same EVM address across all chains. And also, if you register your token as a canonical interchain token that is bridgeable across all of these different networks, then every network that you deploy remotely to will carry the same EVM address across all of the chains, right? And then finally, it's functional, right? You get like the functional ability out of the box, leveraging the interchain token service. So what does this mean? Interchain tokens are customizable with features like yield, permissions, going cross-chain with all of your customization intact. So let's say you have a custom token that deals with, maybe you have yield permission. In fact, you have minting policies, you have like custom functionality that is peculiar to your own token. All of these things is possible for you to have with leveraging interchain token service. It's possible for you to have all of this customization intact while you deploy them remotely on every other chains, right? So now let's talk about the interchain token service decision tree. So why I want to talk about this decision tree is because we have different options available to you if you are a developer that is willing to leverage the interchain token service. We got to cover, like, we have so many options and functionality that you can leverage. So that is exactly what I want to talk about in this session. So first, what is the option? What's the first option you have? So let's say you want to create a new interchain token. So like a brand new token, you haven't created like any token before. You want to create a brand new interchain token. But there's a question you need to ask yourself, or like you need to double check if your token that you want to create needs like custom features, or maybe you have like some customization that is peculiar to your token or you would like to have on your token? If yes, then what you need to do is to build a custom ERC token first and then make it an interchain token. But if no, probably you just still want to have like the same functionality as a typical ERC20 token, then you can use the portal to make that token, like to create that new token, or you do it programmatically. So what I mean programmatically here is you can run it, like create an hard project locally and then programmatically create it yourself without leveraging the portal. What the portal just helps you to do is that because it's a UI, it abstracts like a lot of things. You don't need to know how to code to utilize the portal. So if you want to create it, all you just need to do is to enter your token information, specify the initial supply, specify if it's going to be mintable after deployment, specify all of those things, and then specify the change that you want to deploy to, and it should be good to go. So this is the first option, right? And then the second option is if you want to upgrade an existing token. So you already have your ERC20 token, so you are not deploying a new token. You already have your token. So, but then another question you need to ask is, do your token have a token, like do you have a token that is deployed natively on multiple chains already? So if you have that, maybe you have your token deployed on Arbitrum, Avalanche, Polygon, name it, right? If you have them deployed already, then the first option is, which is yes, then you need to link all of these tokens that you already deployed on multiple chains into an interchain token. So we have options like that for you to leverage on. But if your answer is no, probably you have your token on only one chain, and you like to deploy that token across multiple chains, right? What you need to do is you have two options here, to do it programmatically or to leverage the interchain token portal. So in this workshop, when we get to demo, we'll be doing it programmatically. You see how the functions that we need to call, what are the things we need to do. And then if you also want to leverage the interchain token portal, you see the option, the input feed for you to drop in your token address. And then you can register it as a Canonical Interchain token. You can also deploy it remotely. You can also transfer it directly from the portal. So let's move on. Right. So I already mentioned this. So the first option is linking deployed tokens into multiple chains. It is yes, then this is what you need to do. So, but then looking at the code side of things, right? When you want to link deployed tokens on multiple chains into an interchain token, what do you need to do? You need to deploy a token manager. So the token manager is what you use to manage your token across different chains. You use it to mint and burn tokens, or like you use it to lock and unlock tokens as the case may be, right? What does your token manager take in? First one is salt. Second one is destination chain. The third one is token manager type, which is the type of your token. Either you want to make it a mint and burn token type, a mint and burn token manager type, or you want to make it a lock and unlock token manager type. And then also your params, where you get to encode your token address and your deployer address. And finally, the gas value. And then this is all you need to deploy. So what you are going to do is to deploy token manager on these different chains that you already deploy your token on. And then you'll be able to link those tokens into an interchain token. But if the second option is no, like I mentioned before, then you need to use the Canonical Interchain Token option, where you get to register that single token, that token that you deploy on a single blockchain. You need to register it as a Canonical Interchain Token. When you register it as a Canonical Interchain Token, then you can deploy remotely on every other chains. So you have two options here. The first one is to do it programmatically, or you use the Interchain Token portal. So when you want to do it programmatically, and of course, the option is for you to use the Canonical Token option, right? The first thing you want to do is to call this function directly from the Interchain Factory contract, where you get to register Canonical Interchain Token. And then what you need to supply is the token address. And then the function returns the token ID that is unique for that particular chain, that you register the interchain token on. But after you register this Canonical Interchain Token, The next thing you want to do is to deploy it remotely. Let's say you register it on Fantom, as we will be doing during this demo. Then after registration, and then you want to deploy it on Polygon, with the function you need to call is deploy remote canonical interchain token, right? And then you specify the original chain. So this original chain in our example is Fantom, and then the original token address, which is the one that we use to register the canonical interchain token. And then the destination chain, in this case, it's Polygon, supply that, and then the gas value. So finally, this also returns a token ID that is also unique for this particular token on this chain. And then the last thing you also want to do is after you've been able to register as canonical interchain token, you now have it deployed on a remote chain. You want to do like interchain token transfers, right? Interchain token transfer, what you need to do is to call this function interchain transfer, and then you specify the token ID. Remember, I said the token ID is unique for the token. So you specify the token ID, you specify the destination chain, specify the destination address. So the destination chain here is where I want to transfer to. So if I want to transfer from Fantom to Polygon, I'm going to specify Polygon destination chain. And I'm going to specify the receiver address, which is the destination address here, who is going to receive it on the destination chain. And then I'm going to supply the amount that I want to transfer. If I have a metadata, I can leave it empty by just specifying OX, and then I'm passing the gas value, and then that's all I need to supply so that I can be able to do interchain transfer from Fantom to Polygon in this example. Remember, it can be from any chain, which is typically chain A to chain B. Yeah, so that's all you need to register, deploy remotely, and then do interchain token transfer. So now let's get right into like the main action where we get to see all of these things in action. So what are we going to do during this demo? We are going to create a new ERC20 token. So we are assuming, because we are registering our token as a canonical interchain token. So I want to assume like you have your tokens already. But if you don't have your token, don't worry, we are going to create a new ERC20 token. And we'll register that token as a canonical interchain token on Fantom. We'll deploy it remotely on Polygon, and then we transfer tokens from Fantom to Polygon. That's all we'll be doing here. So let me switch over to our Visual Studio Code. Right, so this is my Visual Studio Code. Feel free to use any code editor of your choice. Let me zoom in here so that we can all see it clearly. So we'll be running a few commands to start our project. So first thing we want to do first is to create a project directly that we want to run this on. I already created mine, and I called it, let me zoom in. I called it a canonical interchain token, right? Feel free to name it anything of your choice. And then after creating this after creating this project, right, we need to install a few dependency, because this is going to be an hard hat project that we want to set up locally. So what we want to do is let's head over to our, let me zoom in again so that it's clear. Let's head over to our terminal, and then we are going to enter npm initialize. We just want to initialize npm here, and then what we want to do is just say npm, sorry, that's a typo, init y, and then this is going to initialize npm clear. And then after we are done with that, we need to install hardhat and .env environment so that we can be able to read environment variable. So we can do that by running npm install, say then hardhat 2.18, and then .m. So click enter, and then we'll wait for this to install. So after this installation is complete, we are going to install our JavaScript SDK, the Axelar JS SDK, and also install a package called Crypto, which we'll be using to generate our salt. And then we'll also install the hardhat toolbox. So let's wait while this is installing. So this is the same process we are doing it. If you're following along, just install, initialize, like create an hardhat locally, and then also install this .env so that we can use that to read our environment variable later on in this workshop. So now that's installed already. Now let's install the Axelar JS SDK, the crypto package, and also the hardhat toolbox. So this is currently installing. Let's wait to be sure everything is fine. 1 second. It's almost there. So if you're just joining, please feel free to drop your question. If you have a question at any point, I'm going to take a look at it, and then I'll make sure to answer all of your questions. All right, this is installing. It's almost done. All right, so we're good to go. Let's go back to our project, and then we should see something like this. So we now have node modules. We have package.log.json, and then package.json. So I've already created my .env file, which you need to create also. And if you create it, you need to specify the private key here and also specify your private key variable. So we have the package.json, we have the package.log. And then one thing you need to create next is the utilities. Okay, I call these utils, right? Where we need to save our ABIs. So we need interchain token factory ABI so that we can be able to deploy, register our interchain token, register a canonical interchain token, deploy that canonical interchain token. And also for interchain token transfer, we need the interchain token service ABI. That's why you're seeing these two ABIs here. So if you want to get the ABI, let's go back. Let me go back to my browser real quick and then go to our docs. Let's go to docs.axelar. Sorry, that's the wrong one. Docs. You go to testnet. If you scroll down on the testnet page, you see these two addresses here, the interchain token service and then interchain token factory. So let me open the interchain token factory and also the service. So right now, this is the interchain token factory, right? If you go to, this is still loading. So you should be able to grab your ABIs from this Explorer page. So it's still loading. Let me just make sure it's complete. It's still loading. Yep. So for this is interchain token service. So when you go down and you read as proxy, let me put that. So this is it's currently loading. And then you scroll down. When you scroll down, scroll all the way down, you are going to see this ABI here. So you can copy the ABI. So same thing for interchain token factory. And then once we have the ABI, we can just go back to our Visual Studio Code and then paste in the ABI here, right? Sorry, this is my JSON file. So this is for interchain token factory, and then this is for interchain token service. That's all you need. So now we are done setting up our what's it called? Our ABI, like our JSON, like ABIs for ABIs. I'm sorry about that. So we're done setting up our ABI, and then now we need to go back to the terminal. What we need to do next is, since we already set up our private key, so we just need to create a new file called hardhat.config.js file. So this is where we are going to set up our RPC. So I can do that by saying touch and then hardhat.config.js. And then when we go back to our Visual Studio Code, we should see that file that's created. Let me close this so that we can have a clean state. So now we have this. We just need to specify the RPC URL, read our variable, read our private key file, and then we should be good to go. So now we have this, right? This is the simple setup that we need to do. Read our environment variable, the private key that we created inside our .env file, and also specify for Fantom, because we are going to deploy, we are going to register this token that the new token that we'll be creating, which is the ERC20 token. We are going to register it on Fantom, right? So we set up the Fantom RPC, a free RPC, of course, and then also we set up the chain ID, which is 4002, and then the private key. So that's all we need to set up our interchain token. Our RPC to create this canonical interchain token that we're about to. So now that we set up our RPC, we are good to go. The next thing we want to do is to create a new file called the canonical interchain token.js. This is what I call this file, right? Feel free to name your files differently based on your preference. And then there are a few things that we need to import here to get started. And I'm going to do that real quick. So what are these things? The first thing we want to do is to, of course, bring in hard hats, and this crypto package that we install so that we can use that to generate sort value. And we are also importing the Axelar JS SDK that we installed. So this is going to be useful for us when we want to get the estimated gas value when we are deploying remotely or when we are doing interchain token transfer. And then what we're also doing next is to import the interchain token service contract ABI, the interchain token factory contract ABI, and then the custom token contract ABI. So I haven't imported this yet, so I'll just do that real quick. So why are we importing this? This is just typically a this is a custom. This is an example of ERC20 token ABI. So well, let's just create the file, but when we deploy our token, we are going to add the ABI. So you see what I'm talking about. So I'm going to create this file and then call it .json. Then when we create our ABI, we'll come back and then update this file with the ABIs that we need. And then we also specify the mint bond, even though we'll be using just mint bond. Also these are the different type of token managers. So these are the different type of token manager. So we have like mint bond token manager type, or the lock and unlock type. So what else are we doing here? We are specifying the testnet address. So in this case, it's testnet. Let me just update this real quick. So we're specifying the testnets here, the address, the interchain token service address on testnet, and also the interchain token factory. So let me go back to the browser so you see where I got this from. So on our docs, you see the two addresses here. This is the address we're specifying. So in this case, the custom token, we haven't deployed it yet. So let me pause here and then let's go ahead to deploy our custom token. So now I'll go back to our browser because you can, of course, this is a very simple ERC20 token, but I found this site called Break My Token. Let me zoom in a little bit to be sure you guys can see my screen clearly. And then now I'm going to create a new interchain ERC20 token on Fantom, and I'm going to name this live token. Sorry, that might not be a good name, but then let's have it that way. And then the token symbol, I'm going to call it LT, right? And we don't need to set anything. We already have the initial supply of 10,000. And then I want to change this to a simple ERC20 token, right? And of course, it's not mainnet, it's testnet. And then we click agree, and then we click confirm. So now we see a MetaMask pop up, and then we click on next, connect, and then you should also see a pop-up to confirm this transaction. And then the transaction is currently in deploy. So we can keep track of this here, so it has been deployed successfully. That's pretty fast. So we have this token deployed already. And then let's go back here. You can also find the token address. So this is the token address we're going to copy. And then we'll go back to our Visual Studio Code and then paste in the address. So this is what we need to import and then to get set to continue the process of registering a Canonical Interchain Token. So in this demo, there are a few things we need to do. But then I also want to create different functions that will abstract a couple of things so that we don't have to rewrite every time. So the first function we are creating is a function called getSigner that would allow us to get this signer that returns the signer value anytime. So what we just need to do is anytime we need to pass in a signer object, we just call this getSigner function and then it returns the signer for us. And then the second one we also want to do is to get contract instance. So we'll create this helper function that allows us to get the contract instance. And then this takes in the contract address, the contract ABI, the signer, and then it returns the contract instance for those particular details that we enter, right? So, but then before I move on, I forgot one thing. Remember that I said after we deploy the custom token ABI, the custom token, we can add the ABI here. So let's do that real quick because it's important so we don't forget. Since the token we deploy here is also verified for us, so we can just view on Explorer and you will see that we have a total supply of 10,000 and we can see the contract is verified. So we can just scroll down all the way down to where we have the ABI and then we just copy and go back to our Visual Studio Code and paste in that ABI there, and then we are all set. So this is a very important step so that you don't run into error at the point of registering your token or trying to deploy your token remotely. So let's go back to Canonical Interchain Token.js, the file that we created. Now that we have all of these things set, we have the get signer, we have the get signer, we have the get contract instance. So what do we need to do next is to create another function, right? So this function is the function that we are going to use to register Canonical Interchain Token. So we just create this function and a synchronous function, and then we call it register Canonical Interchain Token, right? Is that correct? Register Canonical Interchain Token, and then we open curly braces, and then close it, and then we have this. So what are the things we want to do here? Let me see, did I spell this correctly? Yeah, sorry. So what are the things we want to do here? First, we want to get the signer. Of course, we've already created like an helper function. So what we just need to do is const signer, and then this will be equals to like get signer. What do we want to do next is to get the contract instance. So we can just do that by saying interchain token service, but not serve. We are going to get both the contract instance for interchain token service and also the interchain token factory. So the first thing we are doing here is interchain token service. So what do we need to specify? We need to specify the interchain token address, the ABI, and then the signer, right? Let me save this so it looks cleaner. And then the next thing we want to do is to get for the factory, which is also the same thing that takes in the interchain token factory contract address that we already specified here, and also the factory ABI and then the signer, right? So we are all clear to continue, like to proceed. All right, so we are all clear to proceed. So what we need to do is to call the function to register this, to register the canonical interchain token. So now I'm just going to say const, you can call this anything, but in my own case, I'm going to say deploy TXN data, right? So TX data, and then this is going to wait because we are going to call this particular function to register canonical interchain token on the factory. So we are waiting the interchain token factory dot we are calling the register canonical interchain token. I think that's correct. And then what are we specifying here? We are going to specify the custom token address. That's the token address that we just deployed. And also, we also want to get like the expected token manager address. Remember, I said the token manager is what will be used to mint and bond tokens across different chains. So we want to log that particular token manager. So we can just say get expected token manager address. Let me be sure this is correct. Yeah, and then once we want to get the expected, so we are calling this directly from we're going to call this directly from our interchain token service. But then because the parameter that this get expected token manager takes in is a token ID. So let me just comment this out first, and then let's get the token ID first. So what do we need? Which function do we need to get the token ID? So say const, no, sorry, we are just going to await interchain token factory dot canonical interchain token ID, right? Canonical interchain token ID, and then we specify what? The custom token address again to get the token ID. So now we have canonical interchain token ID. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, so now we can proceed to get the expected token manager address. But then in this case, we are going to await it from our service. So our service, so this is not token manager. What we are getting here is token manager address, right? And then this is going to take in what token ID. And save this and then scroll down tab. So now we have gotten, we've initiated the registration to register the canonical interchain token on leveraging the interchain token factory. And then we've also retrieved the token ID, excuse me, and also the expected token manager address. So what do we need to do is to log it, because we want to log this so that we can be able to note our token ID and also, of course, our transaction hash to confirm the transaction was successful. Right. So let me save this so it looks cleaner. So we are just logging this. Remember this deployed TS data, and then we are logging only the transaction hash and this. So now we are done creating our function to register canonical interchain token. So we need to now run this script. What we need to do is to create a function called main, and then that function is what we call to run this our script to register our token successfully. So this is the simple function here that takes in, we kind of check the function name that we want to run, because at the end of the day, we'll be running about 3 functions. The first one to register, the second one to deploy remotely, the third one for interchain token transfer, right? So this is very, very simple. Now that we have this function already created, so we can go ahead, go back to our terminal. Let me clear the terminal, and then we'll paste in this. So what this is going to say is function main, we're specifying that it's going to be register canonical interchain token, and then we are running using NPS adders to run this script, and then we are specifying the network. Remember the RPC we created earlier, and then we can click enter. So hopefully everything goes fine. We should see transaction hash logged, the token ID, and also the expected token manager address. Ooh, yeah, we have that now. The transaction hash. So let's confirm this transaction hash. Let's copy it and then head over to a browser. Our browser, let's go to FT scan, right? The FTM, the Fantom testnet, and then we'll paste in our address here and search for it. So now you can see this was deployed successfully 21 seconds ago, literally like 2 seconds ago. And then you can see other parameters here, who deployed it and all of that. And if you need additional information, you can just check them. So we're good to go here. Transaction is successful. And then we also have our token ID. So now we successfully register our canonical interchain token, right? We are done with this method here. The next thing we want to do is to, so now that we've registered it, so we want to deploy it. But remember that we need to keep our token ID safe somewhere. So I have it on my terminal, but if you're doing it on your own, just make sure that you keep this token ID, because this is a unique ID that will be very, very important for you to leverage when you want to deploy the token remotely, right? So now let's deploy the token remotely. But because this is going to be a cross-chain call from one chain to the other, then what we want to do here first is to estimate the gas that is required for us to deploy from Fantom to Polygon. And then we are going to do that by just, since we already import our SDK, so we are just doing that by, calling the Axelar, creating a new instance of the Axelar query API, and then specifying its testnet, and then creating a function called gas estimator that calls the estimate gas fee API. And then we are specifying Fantom, which is our source chain, Polygon, which is where we want to deploy remotely to, and then the value, sorry, the currency, in this case is FTM, right? And then we're also setting additional parameters like the gas limit and also the multiplier, right? So this is all we need for the gas estimator. So now we can, feel free to proceed to the next step where we deploy, we'll deploy this token remotely. So I'll create another function here called deploy remote. So we can call it anything basically, but I'll just say deploy remote canonical interchain token. Yeah, thank you. So now we scroll down. So what do we need to get here? Just like the way we did when we wanted to register the canonical interchain token. We need the signer, so we can see signer is what? We'll await this, and then let me just close this so that we have a clean state, and then we can tap in. So what next do we want to do? We need to get the contract instance, but then because we are deploying remotely, we are using the interchain token factory. So I'm just going to say const interchain token factory. interchain token factory contract, right? And then we get the contract instance, and this is going to specify the address, the contract ABI, and the signer, right? And that's all we need to get the contract instance for interchain token factory. Now, next thing we want to do is to const gas amount so that we can be able to estimate the amount, the gas amount that is required for this particular cross-chain call to deploy this token remotely. And then once we have that, we can just say const TXN to initiate our transaction. And then we are going to say await interchain token factory contract dot deploy remote canonical interchain token. Yeah, so all of this function that I'm calling from this contract is something we currently have. So let me show you where you can find all of this function. So if you go back to the Explorer, either you just go to interchain and just go to our contract that we have publicly, and then on our GitHub, if you go to contracts, you see this factory here. So let me click on factory, and let me go back to our Visual Studio Code. I've copied this function or this method I'm calling, and then find, and you can see this method here. So you can see that it takes in the original chain name, original token address, destination chain, gas value, and then returns token ID. So you can find details about what is happening under the hood as we try to deploy remote canonical interchain token. So now back to our Visual Studio Code. So we need to specify a few things. The first thing is the original chain name, right? Which is Fantom. So this is the chain name, and this is case sensitive. Like I need to like emphasize on this. So if you go to our docs, I think I have this open before. Click on the developers, and then go to contract address, go to testnet here, and you see all of these EVM contract addresses, right? So if you scroll down to Fantom, you can see that the chain name is Fantom. This is what you need to copy. So you can see the chain name is unique based off the chain. You can see this is Ficon, but the chain name is what Ficon-2, right? So this is the name we are specifying. So if you go back here, we specify Fantom. What next do we need to specify? Our token address. So our custom token address. And then we specify the remote chain that we are deploying to, which is what? Polygon. If you confirm again on the docs, if you scroll down, you see Polygon here, and then chain name is what? Polygon, capital letter P. So that's what we are specifying here. And then we can pass in what? The gas amount here for the gas value. And then finally, we pass in the value, the value for this question call, right? Which we already estimated, so we can just pass the gas amount again. And then that's all we need to specify to deploy remote canonical interchain token. So one last thing that we need to do now is to just log our transaction hash so that we can verify what is happening on chain and then how it's moving from one state to the other. So I'm just going to log that here and then click save. So that's it. And let's go back to our function to run our script. So because this is the other script, so what we need to do here is to say, to add this additional method that we just created. And then once we had this method, we can still reuse what we have before here. But what we need to change here is to change the function name that we want to call, right? So we can, the function name is what? Deploy remote canonical interchain token, right? And then we can click enter. So if everything goes fine, you should see a transaction hash that we can verify on chain. Just wait, shouldn't take long. Voila. Yeah, now we have it. So we can copy this and then verify it on chain. So we can verify on our Fantom. Let me just change this tab. Excuse me. You can verify it here. You can see this also happens like 18 seconds ago. You can see what is happening from to the value that we use. And then that is Fantom. But then let's check. Sorry, let's go to testnet Axelar scan. io to see how this is happening cross-chain, right? Because we are deploying remotely from Fantom to Polygon. So now let's see what is happening under the hood. So if you visit testnet.axelarscan.io, you see how things are going. So the first thing is that the transaction was sent successfully, and then gas was paid, and it has been confirmed on the network. Where we currently at is for it to be approved, and then the final step is to execute. So you can see all of these different stages, right? Sent, gas paid, confirm, like you can confirm everything on chain. If I click on this, it should take me to where the transaction was confirmed. And then now we are currently waiting for it to be approved. Same thing for sent. When it was sent, when gas was paid, if you verify the transaction, you see that the function that was called is this, and then gas was paid successfully. Let's just wait for this to be approved. And you can also find other informations like message ID, command ID, source chain. The source chain where we send it from, and then destination chain, which is Polygon, source chain address, and then the destination chain address, the payload hash, and the payload. Now it has approved successfully, and you can see the transaction hash that you can verify on Mumbai Polygon scan, where it was approved, right? Now let's go back to our yeah, finally it's executed successfully, right? So we have successfully executed, this transaction to do interchain token deployment from what? Phantom to Polygon. Let me see if there's any question. If not, I'll just move on. Hi guys, thanks for the shout out. Yes. All right, thanks guys for following. So let's go back to to Axelar scan. So now we can see that the transaction is executed successfully, and then we can. So we successfully deploy, like register it, and then we deploy this remotely. What we need to do next is to transfer from the origin chain to the destination chain. But one thing I want to do here is, since we have the token address, let me just go ahead. Let me go back to the token. Let me grab the token we deployed earlier on. Click on MetaMask, and then so that I can import this token so we can see how things are moving from chain A to chain B. You can see it's automatically populated, and then we have what? 10,000. Remember the token, right? 10,000 on Phantom, right? That's the total supply, anyways. So now that we have this, so this is on Phantom. So what I want to do next is to transfer. So let's go back to our Visual Studio Code to programmatically transfer, to create a function to transfer, just like we did for registering and also deploying remotely. Excuse me. So now to transfer, we are going to create a new function called async. We can name it, okay, let's say function transfer token, right? Transfer tokens, right? And then let me close this, and then next. So we have what? We do the same thing by getting our signer. And then after we get our signer, we need to do what? You should have guessed, like the next thing right here, where we need to get our contract instance. So the first one, because this is interchain token transfer, we are going to get the contract instance for interchain token service, right? For the interchain, because that's what we'll be calling the interchain token transfer. We get the contract instance, and then we should have all of this set up. And then finally, we also need to get the contract instance for our token. I'll tell you why in the next few seconds rather. So let me do contract, or let me call it custom token contract, right? Which is the same thing. We get the contract instance because we already have like the custom token contract ABI imported earlier on, and so we are good to go. So what do we want to do? Because we want to send, because we register this token as a canonical interchain token, and then we want to send from Phantom to Polygon. We need to approve ITS, like interchain token service contract, to be able to send that amount on our custom token, because it's our custom token. So we need to approve interchain token service contracts so that with the value, once we approve it, the contract will have access to transfer the token from one blockchain to the other. So in this case, from Fantom to Polygon. So what we are doing next is to just await. We don't need to save this. We can just say custom token contract approved. Remember, this is a simple ERC20 token, so you have the approve function already available. So we can do that. And then what are we specifying? Which address do we want to give the approval? Is the interchain token address. But the amount is not, let me just change this. So we are going to use ethers here to specify the amount that we want to approve. So ethers dot it is the percentile. So I'm going to send 100, right? We have 10,000, right? Or let me just send 5,000 instead, like half of the total, half of what we currently have. And then, so we're sending 5,000. We have approved the contract to be able to spend 5,000. What we now need to do next is to do the estimate for this cross-chain call, and then to do the interchain transfer call directly from the interchain token service contract. So what we're just going to do here is to say const gas amount, gas estimator, and then once we have that, we can just proceed to say const, let's call this transfer, and then in the transfer we await the interchain token service contract, right? Dot interchain transfer, right? And then we need to specify a few things, right? Let me go back to the contract I was showing you before. So let's check interchain token service contract, and then let me copy this and then go back so you see the function and what we need to pass. So interchain transfer. Yeah, so this is the method here. This is the function here. We need to specify a token ID, destination chain, destination address, amount, metadata, and then gas value. So these are the things we need to specify. So first is what? Token ID. Remember I said you should save the token ID, so we can just grab the token ID here. Once we grab the token ID, we can just specify the token ID. And then what do we need to specify next is the destination chain. So destination chain here is what? Polygon. Yeah, let me just add this here. That's the destination chain, right? And then this is what? Token ID, right? So now that we have destination chain, what do we need to specify next is the receiver address, which is the destination address. So I'm going to copy my wallet address here, which is the receiver, and then I'm going to specify it here. So this is destination address. And finally, we want to specify the amount that we want to transfer. So it's 5,000. And let's see, going on, we specify the gas amount. So before this gas amount, we need to specify the metadata. So the metadata is OX. I can just specify arbitrary data. Anyways, so we now need to specify the gas amount for the gas value. And finally, we'll specify the value that needs to be sent with this cross-chain call. So I think I'm missing a comma here, and then we should be good to go, right? You can see all the things we specify: the token ID, the destination chain, destination address, the amount that I want to send, and also the gas amount and the value. So after doing all of this, what we need to do next is to, don't forget, we need to log the transaction hash so that we can keep track of this transaction on chain. So, and then we specify the method. We just added transfer tokens, and then we specify it here and save. So now let me copy these transfer tokens and then go to our terminal. Let's change this function so that we can call the transfer token to trigger that function. So right, and then we click enter. So now, if everything goes fine, we should see a transaction hash that we can verify on chain that would send token from Fantom to Polygon for us. Yes, we have the transaction hash, and then I can just copy that, head over to browser, Let me duplicate this page so that we have reference of what's happening. And then we can just specify this and then click search. So now we have this happening. Yeah, gas has been paid. We're waiting for finality. And then you can see the details here that we are 75,000 LT. And it's what interchain transfer. This is the method that gets called from what? From Fantom through Axelar to Polygon, right? So let's just wait a couple of seconds. This should be confirmed. Yeah, this is confirmed already. And then we are waiting for the approval. You can see that you can track each step of confirmation on chain. What is happening, any details you need to know, and then you need to find out. Yeah, so it has been approved successfully. Woohoo! Now let's execute. Let's wait for it to execute. So if it executes, it means that our transaction has been successfully completed end to end from interchain, from Fantom to Polygon, where we get to call the interchain token transfer. So still going on. Yes, it's now successful. So you can see all of these things and then you can track everything happening on chain. Let's see what's happened during the execution here on Polygon. You can see it has successfully executed, and then we have 5,000 OT token here on Polygon. How cool is that, right? We're able to make our token interchain token, and we're able to send, we were able to register it as a Canonical Interchain Token. We're also able to deploy remotely on Polygon, and now we are able to like send transfer token from Fantom to Polygon. So let's take a look at our address here on Fantom. We should have 5,000 left. You can see that, right? So this is amazing, right? So this is something I want to showcase to you guys, and how cool and easy it is to register a Canonical Interchain Token, deploy it, and then do interchain token transfer, right? So I think that's it for the demo part, and then we can just go back to the presentation. Let me see if I have any question. So we'll reduce now. All right. Yeah. Let me know if you have like any question. Of course, we are happy to support you, right? You are not in this alone. We are happy to support you. Either you have questions, you have queries, you have maybe you need clarification. Sometimes it's not just question, maybe you just want to clarify a few things. We are happy to support you. So moving on, what next? Which is the support I was just talking about, right? We have created this repo where you can open, you can create an issue. It's called github.com/Axelar network/support, right? What you need to do is search for issues. Like if you want to create a new issue, search for that issue if it doesn't already exist. If not, you can just go ahead and create a new issue. We'll get notification almost immediately, and then we'll be happy to like answer all your questions. So you're not in this alone. Maybe you have clarification, or maybe your token gets stuck for some reason, or maybe you don't understand what is going on when token is being transferred from one chain to the other. We'll be happy to support you. And then moving on. Yes, thank you guys for joining today's session. I think you learned, I hope you guys learned something, because I've also learned quite a lot of things myself, going through all of this, through this process end to end. So this is a QR code you're seeing on the screen right now. Please feel free to scan this QR code. It's a survey that takes less than 1 minute to fill. And just let me know what you think about this session, if you find it helpful, and also if you have been able to benefit something from this session. And of course, if you have any feedback for us, please feel free to drop it in that form that you'll see when you scan this QR code. And with that being said, thank you all for listening. Let me check one more time if I have any question. If not, we can call it a day. Yeah, GM guys, thank you. Thank you all for joining. If there's no question, let me just wait a couple of seconds. Let's see if anybody have questions. And then don't forget to scan this QR code. It's very important. Yeah, so let me know what you think about this workshop. Were you able to benefit anything? How has this workshop been able to like, how has this workshop help you to understand how to register Canonical Interchain Token programmatically? And also if you find anything useful, let me know by filling out the survey, of course. Yeah, one last check and then we can call it a day. All right, guys, I think we don't have any other question. Thank you all for joining. Bye for now.